Good morning! I'm doing a book review for As Meat Loves Salt by Maria McCann. I read it on my Kindle, so I don't have the proper hardcover, but this is what it looks like on the Kindle. Yes. And the novel is set in the 1640s in England, and it's during the English Civil War. It follows the main character. His name is Jacob Cullen. I think he's a psychopath, which makes it quite interesting that he is the main character, because throughout the novel you follow him and he does many things which no one should agree with, of course, but you can't help feeling some empathy, some pity towards him because you are set in his mind. Like, no one could view his actions as wholly evil because in his mind he justifies them or has like a reason for doing so, which is really dangerous. There's another character I've read before, the main character of Personal Matter by Kenzaburo Oe, who, that man is just detestable. He's just awful. Yet, you still can't help feeling some empathy and some understanding for this just like heinous person. And so I found it similar in As Meat Loves Salt. So in the beginning, when the book opens, there are two main events that happen. One is that a young boy is found in a lake. He'd been brutally murdered. And the other thing that happens is that the main character marries a pure, virginal, very sweet young girl. And everything unfolds from there. So in the beginning, the very first thing that you know is that there's the immediate juxtaposition of good, the wholesome marriage of two people who are virginal and like have this great pure love for each other, and evil, the murder of the young boy. And that is pretty much the tone of the whole book. At what cost should you pursue good, and is evil truly just pure evil? So I found it intensely interesting to be in the mind of someone I think is psychopathic. It was really interesting because if it had been pulled back where you couldn't hear his reasons, I feel it would be very easy to just say, oh, he's the worst and I can't understand him, and just no to everything that's happening in this book. Because the other person who he interacts with the most is called Ferris. And Ferris is kind of a good force, I would say. He's a little narcissistic and a little arrogant, prideful, but he is trying to do well. So there's constantly this tension between them. Is Ferris good? Is Jacob evil? And the answer is, you know, you have to decide for yourself about their actions, because one of the things about the book is everything is kind of gray. There are some horrific actions, or there are some amazing actions, but what do you do when it's couched in the same person? I was just going to talk about a little bit about the name of the book, As Meat Loves Salt. It comes from, I believe it's an English fairy tale called Cap of Rushes. And in the beginning of her book, As Meat Loves Salt, she gives a very tiny snippet of that story, but I'm going to tell you the story that I was told by my family when I was younger. It was one of the fairy tales in like a children's book that we read at bedtime. So I knew the story from way back when. But it goes like this. There was once a man and he had 3 daughters. And one day he was thinking to himself, I wonder how much my daughters love me. So he asked them, how much do you love me? The oldest daughter said, oh, I love you more than my life. He says, oh, that's a good answer. He asks the second daughter. She says, oh, I love you more than the entire world. He says, oh, that's also a really good answer. And then he asks his youngest daughter, and she says, I love you as much as meat loves salt. And he gets enraged and he says, that's no answer. I thought you loved me best of all. And so he throws her out of the house without anything. And because they come from quite a wealthy family, her clothes are really nice. So to disguise herself as she's traveling along the roads, she breaks off some rushes, which are like reedy plants that grow along rivers. And she covers herself and she makes herself a cap of rushes and a dress, a coat of rushes. And so she goes to a house and she asks if they have any work available. And they say, no, we don't. She says, I'll do anything. I'll wash your pots and pans. I'll do anything. She said, okay. So they hire her as like a handy person. So she washes dishes and she helps in the kitchen and she cleans. And then one day, the people she works with say, oh, Cap of Rushes, guess what? There's this big dance that's gonna happen. And she says, oh, I'm not feeling well. So she pretends to be sick And then as soon as they're gone, she throws off her cap of rushes and she goes to the dance, where of course she's in her beautiful dress. She meets the son of a wealthy nobleman, and he falls in love with her. And then the next day, she runs out without telling him who she is, of course. Really Cinderella. She goes back to her home and she pretends to be asleep, and she like pulls the brushes back over her. And the people come back and they're like, oh, guess what, you missed it. The local wealthy man's son fell in love with a beautiful lady. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry I missed it. He's looking for her and he gets sick because he can't find her. Like lovesick, of course, like heartbroken. So he gets really sick and he's infirm. And so people are asking, like, where is she, where is she? And he is staying in their house, like in the bed of their house, and he asks for soup. So the cook is gonna make him soup to get better. And during the dance, he had given her a ring to say like, I love you, I like you, here, have this ring. Put a ring on it. Anyway, so she makes a soup for him and she slips the ring in the soup. He drinks the soup and he finds the ring, and then he calls the cook up and says, who made the soup? And the cook, who's quite afraid, says, oh, it's me. And he's like, it's obviously not you. Like, you're not the one. And so he's like, I won't harm you, tell me who did it. And the cook is like, oh, Cap of Rushes did it. So then they bring up Cap of Rushes and they fall in love, and they're gonna have a wedding ceremony. And at the wedding ceremony, everyone is invited, including her wealthy father. So she instructs everyone to not put salt in any of the food. So when the food comes out, everyone's eating it and they're like, oh, this is nasty, ew, this is gross, ew, it's vile. And the father just starts crying because he says, I finally know the lesson now, like, something good can be so worthless without salt, and life without love between a father and a daughter can be just horrendously sad. And I miss my daughter, like, I don't know where she is, I threw her out, so sad. And then she of course is like, oh, father, I love you, and then they become a happy family again. But anyway, the takeaway of this long story, what is the nature of love, right? Is it coddling words? Is it false words that the first two daughters said? Or is it a realistic view, which the youngest daughter had? Is it the love between family members? Is it the love between siblings? Is it the love between bride and groom? And all of that is in As Meat Loves Salt, which is interesting, don't you think? Because it's quite brutal. There is a lot of violence, but really the message of the book is, what is love? What is hate? And can they also combine and be a singular throbbing relationship between two people where they are in love with each other, but they also hate each other, like on the flip side. So I just found the book really interesting. I found it more interesting than I was moved by it. I think only one or two passages really moved me deeply, but a friend of mine, she had the opposite reaction. She loved the book. She said it like haunts her still. Yeah, so that's my review of it. I would say if you are looking for something that explores good versus evil, love, hate, or even in an absolutely extremely well done piece on 1640s England or the English Rebellion, then Civil War, I mean, then I would recommend to go for it. Yeah, but anyway, give it a read if you want, and let me know what you think. See you, bye!